The entire airport terminal went silent. Security officers froze mid-step, hushed whispers vanished, and even the usual buzz of travelers seemed to hold its breath. Right there, in the middle of it all, stood Officer Marcus Reynolds, 14 years in the K-9 unit, certain he'd seen everything. Yet nothing could have prepared him for what happened next. His partner, Ranger, a German shepherd with an almost sixth sense, wasn't focused on the man they'd been watching, but on something else entirely. A little girl, no older than 3, wearing a bright yellow dress, pointed not at Ranger, but past him toward a restricted service corridor leading to the tarmac. "Bad man," she said, clear as day, her enormous brown eyes locking with Marcus's like she was telling him a secret only they shared. That simple 2-word warning would change everything. Let me back up a bit to show you how this all unfolded. 3 hours earlier, Margaret Shun was patiently waiting at Detroit Metropolitan Airport with her granddaughter Emma, a lively 3-year-old stubbornly wearing that yellow dress despite the freezing winter chill. Margaret knew a storm was coming. She'd lived through enough Midwestern winters to feel it in her bones, and traffic was snarled across town, delaying Emma's mom by nearly an hour. To keep Emma happy, Margaret agreed to a quick cinnamon pretzel while the terminal buzzed with something unusual. More police officers, more dogs, more tension than usual. Security was on edge due to vague but serious intelligence about a potential threat at one of Detroit's transportation hubs. Officer Reynolds and Ranger were already on patrol, their senses sharp. Meanwhile, across the terminal, a baggage handler named James Morales checked his watch nervously. 3 weeks earlier, he'd been sitting at his kitchen table drowning in medical bills for his 8-year-old daughter Teresa, whose leukemia was advancing rapidly. The experimental treatment she needed cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, far beyond what insurance would cover. When a mysterious caller promised to cover the full amount in exchange for a simple favor involving transporting a package at work, desperation won over better judgment. So here he was, with a backpack carrying a small, heavy package he was supposed to stash in a locker during a shift change. The weight of it felt like the weight of the world, heavier than the backpack itself, and his conscience wrestled with the choice he was making. Back to Marcus and Ranger. Their K-9 unit had been scanning the terminal for anything suspicious all morning. Ranger flagged an abandoned bag earlier, but it turned out to be harmless, just a traveler's specialty sausages. But now, Ranger's attention had shifted sharply, his nose twitching toward a man near the windows, nervously checking his phone. The man's body language screamed unease, hunched shoulders, furtive glances, a hesitant adjustment of his backpack. Just then, Emma spotted Ranger again and tugged her grandmother's hand, begging for a closer look. Margaret smiled, trying to keep up with the 3-year-old's endless energy, but she noticed the unusual tension in the air. Something was off, even if no one could quite say what. As Marcus and Ranger moved toward the man, Emma suddenly broke away from Margaret, stepping right in front of Marcus and pointing past him with determination. "Bad man," she said again, loud enough for nearby officers to hear. Marcus froze, his heart pounding. Ranger immediately turned, alert and tense, focused on the service corridor. Emma had pointed toward, not on the man by the windows. "What did you say, sweetheart?" Marcus asked gently, kneeling to her level. Emma's grandmother hurried over, apologizing for the interruption, but Emma pointed again, more insistently, toward the corridor. "Bad man there." Marcus radioed for backup, his voice steady but urgent. "Possible situation near Gate B14, service corridor." Rangers showing strong interest, requesting immediate backup. The terminal hummed with normal activity, but for Marcus, Ranger, and Emma, time seemed to slow. Moments later, James Morales, sweating and trembling, was standing before locker 47 in the service corridor. Every second felt like a lifetime as he hesitated, haunted by the image of his sick daughter and the terrible choice he had made. His hand hovered over the locker door. Should he go through with it, or risk everything and call security himself? The weight of his decision crushed him, memories of Teresa's fragile smile and her butterfly dreams flooding his mind. Then, The sound of approaching footsteps startled him. His supervisor, Ray Patel, appeared, concerned but unaware of the ticking bomb of Morales' secret. Morales shoved the backpack into the locker, leaving the key in the lock just as instructed, but he hadn't turned it. His heart hammered in his chest. On the other side of the door, Marcus and Ranger approached cautiously. Ranger stopped suddenly in front of a storage room, alert and rigid. Marcus called out, "Airport police. Identify yourself." A tense silence stretched. Then a shaky voice. "James Morales. I work baggage handling. I'm unarmed and coming out." Morales emerged, hands raised, face pale but filled with anguish and relief. "I was supposed to deliver a package," he said quietly, voice cracking. "But I checked it first. It's not what they told me it would be." Backup arrived quickly. The explosive disposal team was called, and what they found inside the backpack was chilling. Components for an improvised explosive device enough to cause serious harm. But taped inside was a small photo of a smiling little girl holding a drawing of butterflies. Teresa. The official reports wouldn't capture Morales' quiet tears, or how he whispered Teresa's name like a prayer in custody. They wouldn't explain how a tiny girl in a yellow dress somehow sensed danger where no one else could, or how a father's love and a child's innocence had collided to prevent a disaster. Meanwhile, Emma remained blissfully unaware of the chaos she'd helped avert, coloring happily in a quiet room with her grandmother and Officer Williams, who marveled at the unexplained intuition children sometimes have. Days later, Morales sat across from Dr. Sonia Chun, Emma's mother, and a pediatric oncologist in a surprising meeting that brought hope amid tragedy. Dr. Chun offered Morales a chance for Teresa to join a clinical trial for the very treatment they couldn't afford, saying gently, "Because you chose to protect strangers over desperation, your daughter deserves a chance." Morales, overwhelmed by the kindness, whispered, "I don't deserve this." "It's not about what you deserve," Sonia replied softly. "It's about what Teresa deserves." Months later, Marcus and Ranger visited the pediatric ward, where Teresa, now responding well to treatment, giggled with Emma over a shared book. The unlikely friendship between two little girls, one who nearly lost her father to despair, and one who unknowingly saved many lives, was a quiet reminder of hope, courage, and the mysteries that sometimes guide us. Marcus reflected on the strange threads connecting butterflies, a yellow dress, a police dog's instincts, and the hard choices made in dark moments. Some questions, he thought, had no clear answers, but the lives touched that day spoke louder than words. So here's the real question for you. When desperation leads to impossible choices, where do we draw the line between justice and mercy? Who decides what's right when the stakes are life and death? If this story moved you, hit subscribe, share your thoughts below, and join the conversation. Because sometimes the most unexpected heroes come in the smallest packages, and the hardest questions are the ones worth asking.